Okay, hi, I'm Clinton, and this is putting the man in the middle in HDMI. I've been working in IT support for the last 5 years or so, and inevitably you have it on the day off that you get that call from work and they want to be able to boot off a CD-ROM, re-image a machine, something of that nature. And you have to explain they've got to get into the BIOS, they've got to change their boot order. This can cause some confusion, especially when every machine has a different BIOS. Inevitably, that's the end of your day off, or you're going to spend an hour and a half on the phone with them trying to talk them through changing the settings. And I think most of us would have wished at some point in our careers, I wish I could remote into the BIOS. So surely there's a way around this. Maybe something like this, a KVM over IP device would be ideal for work circumstance, but I'm not sure I want to fork out over $1,000 just to save an hour. And that's when I shelved the idea. That was at least until a couple of years ago. Darren from Hack5 gave a talk about his grandma causing the end of the world. I've been following Hack5 through projects like the USB Switchblade and the Wi-Fi Pineapple for a while now, and they all exploit the convenience and trust built into our systems. It was this talk, however, that got me thinking about KVM devices again. Typically, a PC trusts its HDMI, keyboard, and mouse devices. This gives us an opportunity to resolve a few of the problems with on-premises pen testing devices. They interact with the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet. Even if they're operating in a stealthy mode, that only lets them do passive surveillance. Otherwise, there is a chance of detection. They don't have credentialed access. In some cases, this can limit your access to certain applications, or if they've got 802.1x on the network, it can block them from the network entirely. Some of the drop boxes out there do utilize an out-of-band communication method, such as 4G or some other method. But many of the devices out there do utilize the network under test to communicate out, and that's another point of potential detection. And common USB drops, HID attacks, and drive-by downloads result in software being dropped on the machine under test. Antiviruses can catch it, or activity can show up in PowerShell logs, where it can be detected again. So this is where our requirements start to take shape. The device needs to be transparent to the user. Ideally, we'd have keyboard and mouse control. We need out-of-band communication back to us. And it needs to be small enough to remain unnoticed or disguised in some way. Our KVM device has some issues here. With the cost, this is a fair bit of investment to leave lying around office. They're often large, even rack mount devices, and they need additional hardware to become cellular capable. Now, this is where I started the project in earnest. We've got our target machine, which will have a HDMI cable to the monitor, which we can join with a splitter, attach that to a capture device, hook it up to a small form factor computer, attach a 3G interface or dongle for communications, and then utilize USB to control the target machine. And that would give us our HD man in the middle. So my first revision was built around an Atom-powered stick PC, a USB capture dongle I had lying around, various adapters and cables, and an electrical junction box. Now, I did actually manage to get the lid on, but it had a few flaws. It would capture and pass a monitor signal, but only at a limited resolution, and I exhausted my only USB interface on the device, which limited my ability to do USB control and to hook up to a cellular connection. And it was far from small. A while later, as new hardware became available at a cheaper price, I tried again. This version was based on a Raspberry Pi, using a small Arduino stick PC to do the HID control, a USB to HDMI capture card. However, this particular USB 3 card gave me all sorts of problems because I only had USB 2 on the Pi. So I switched to this one. It did downsample and crunch the picture, but it was USB 2 and I got a much better frame rate. A basic 4G dongle paired with a HDMI splitter, and we get something that looks kind of suspicious. So I put it in a box. And we get something that you might reasonably miss if it was hidden behind your desk amongst the clutter of other items. So let's do this thing. I have here a Windows laptop hooked up to a monitor just with a regular HDMI cable. What I'll do, I'll plug my device up to power and then hook it between the HDMI signal and up to the USB on the device to test. And I totally didn't bring out my other USB extension, so hopefully I've got a picture there. So you can still see what's going on the machine through the monitor, but my device is now in the middle. It'll be connecting to 4G, connecting through a VPN, which I can then access from here. So we've got our interface, just waiting for it to come up on the VPN. VPN should be connecting. And I'm getting pings from the device. And I'm getting the screen. Woo! Now from here, so we've got a view of what's on screen. We have some ability to do keyboard and mouse control. Hopefully, yep. Move the mouse around. Do things like control delete. Even potentially pop a run dialog, type a restart command, and reboot the machine. Now, in this particular instance, the laptop I have doesn't give me a video signal during the BIOS phase, but you could imagine on any workstation machine, you would get full access to the BIOS. It is just HDMI and USB after all. So I've got your screen, your keyboard and mouse. I'm not on your network, and you can't see me. Applause. So what next? Now, I've got a list of features which could be implemented to improve the capability of the device. Use a more powerful computer so I can run USB 3, get a better resolution and a better frame rate. The web app could be improved, or I could potentially implement a VNC interface for the device. The device could possibly be shrunk with the use of some custom hardware. The keyboard and mouse from the host machine could be routed through my device, giving you hardware key logging associated with that image from the screen, So not only are you seeing the keyboard and mouse commands, you've actually got a visual context for those. And a lot of other things besides. That's the talk I mentioned. This is me. And that is the HD man in the middle. And unfortunately, we're out of time, so I'll leave the questions.